Good morning. It's still morning in Los Angeles, and welcome to My Left Ear. I am Carrie Freeman, the writer, producer, director of My Left Ear. This is a left-leaning political YouTube channel where we have some fun, and I have a little sense of humor from time to time. I do psychic commentary. I read the runes, like many people read the tarot, for direction and information, and I have runes today. When I'm not here doing this channel, I also have a Patreon channel. And right now we're discussing something really positive called What is Good Evidence, the name of my next book. And you can check that out at patreon.com/Carrie Freeman. And I also do private coaching, hypnotherapy, and all of that information is available to you. And if you want a one sheet on the services I offer and the pricing, just email me, and the email is below in the information section. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm picking out news that's going on. I can't cover it all, but I cover what I think is interesting, and I hope you think is interesting. And this is for entertainment purposes only. I would love it if you're new and you subscribed and you hit the like button. It helps all of us. All right, so the first thing I just want to say off the bat is it's Monday. It's the 27th of March, and expect another news extravaganza this week. What do they call it? Something Palooza, Wallapalooza. So a Wallapalooza without music this week in the news. Now, if you've been watching me, you know that I'm not a fan of Ron DeSantis. I have a million nicknames for him because when I use a nickname, it helps me, how do I put this? Reduce the energy that that person has over me. It makes me feel better, okay? My latest nickname for Ron DeSantis is Kinky Boots, because of when he wore those white patent leather boots after the hurricane when the sun was out, and he wore them over blue jeans. And no one who wants to be president should ever be seen in white shining boots. And by the way, Kinky Boots is the name of a very successful Broadway musical written by Cyndi Lauper, in case you didn't know. All right, so because Ron DeSantis is all over the place on who he wants to appeal to in the presidential run, he has not announced, but everybody else is announcing it around him, but he's not. But at any rate, he's positioning himself. And I might have mentioned it 4 days ago, my last YouTube, but he made a jerk out of himself in talking about Ukraine. He minimized the conflict. He did not acknowledge that Putin is now officially wanted for war crimes. He really made a jerk out of himself. So then now other people came in there, started asking him, and he's flip-flopping. He's flip-flopping like a red snapper on hot cement. And so that's why I'm talking about him first. Ignoring Putin's war crimes, minimalizing, did I say that right? I had coffee, about the dispute. Not acknowledging that Russia invaded Ukraine out of nowhere to start a war. All right, so now he's backtracking, but this weakened him terribly this past week, this flip-flopping, and now they have footage. On 1 minute he's saying, oh, we have no business being in Ukraine, and then the next footage is, we must be in Ukraine, and it's crazy bad for Kinky Boots, Mr. Kinky Boots, Governor Kinky Boots. I hope you find that amusing. So I pulled the runes, okay? And I asked, will 2024 be an open field for Republican presidential wannabe candidates. All right. So I got the rune of wholeness. And wholeness really means you have lots of wishes to fulfill your life. So it's really about these wannabe presidents who are woefully ill-equipped on the right side, who really want to be president. And so the book actually says, admitting to yourself something you've long denied. So it does seem like there could be an open field. However, what was interesting, the two additional runes that I pulled were the same, because once I pull a rune and I make a note of what I pulled, I put it back into the bag. So if it's meant to come up twice, it comes up twice, and it did today. And that's always interesting when that happens. So I got the most mysterious rune in the pack, unknowable. Unknowable is blank. It's blank on both sides. And you go, what? But unknowable twice. So we're not supposed to really have that answer at this early juncture. So it is a bit unknowable. But I want to say, after spending years and years with the runes, if we go back to the first rune, wholeness, I suspect that it's going to be a different kind of 2024 primary season. I think the field is going to open up. A lot of things are going to happen in the next year. The reason I'm saying that. And the other thing I want to add to this wholeness, unknowable, about the field of running for president on the Republican side, that there is a big difference in Trump running for president in 16 and 20 than 24 next year. Number one, he's in mental decline. Now, personally, I think he's been in mental decline a long time, but this happens very incrementally when there is disease. So he is in mental decline. We're seeing it more and more. He repeats himself. He doesn't have a new thought, a new idea, a new word. He has no other words for hoax. So he's in mental decline. That's one thing that's different. He repeats himself, which I just said, but now he's got this call to violence that's very blatant. It's not shrouded in mystery. He's basically coming out and wanting war, murder, violence. He has numerous and serious indictments in front of him, which he didn't have before. There was poor outcome to a large degree for the Republicans during the midterms. And then there's proof of Trump's violent intentions, like this past week when two pictures emerged, one of him holding a baseball bat towards Alvin Bragg and wishing death and destruction. So that's pretty literal, wouldn't you say? Now, a lot of our pundits have been talking about his Trump's fear is palpable now. He's like escalating. He's losing control. He's saying insane things. So at the Waco, Texas rally, he went on like a 2-hour grievance speech, all about himself and all about, the vengeance he wants to reap upon people that have not supported him or are indicting him, investigating him. So Waco really showed his incredible fear because he talked about himself almost the entire 2 hour while people sat there in this sun. And it wasn't until the last, like maybe 10 minutes that he even brought his attention to the people, the citizens that he would represent as the next president, which he's not going to be. So he threw in things about, oh yeah, and I'm going to do this for you and that for you at the end, and people had already begun leaving. So that's Waco. Now, we're going to shift now to New York. The SDNY hush payment grand jury situation. Now, as Bragg gets closer, and 45, another nickname for Trump, just a number, 45, doesn't really know when to expect to be making that trip to New York, to be fingerprinted, indicted, blah, blah. He doesn't know. And he made up Tuesday last week as a way to gain control of the narrative. And of course, that was busted. 2, maybe 3 people showed up with signs for Donald Trump. So his death and destruction tweet got a lot of attention. The baseball bat towards Bragg. He took that down the next day. Somebody must have said, look, I'm not going to be your attorney anymore if you don't take that down, because that's illegal. So he took it down. Now, after that, a lot of attorneys that I admire said it was almost illegal, the threat that Trump made. Not 100%, but really close. And so if he did one more thing, this death and destruction and the photograph would come up for review. He's just, it's a fine line he's walking right now, and that would be Donald Trump. But people say, whoa, what's Alvin Bragg gonna do? He's not gonna back down. I don't even need to bring runes on that. Alvin Bragg is not built to back down. If you read about him, he's got quite an interesting background, family history, really solid guy who I think at the beginning was a little misunderstood. He's not backing down, and he's not scared. People that get to this point, like Alvin Bragg, have seen it all, done it all, and their job is to stay focused on what they need to do or investigate. And then in addition to not backing down, Alvin Bragg received a demand letter from Jim Jordan and people on his committee. Is it Comer? They're all idiots, okay? Saying, you need to come to Congress. We need to interview about what you're doing in New York, blah, blah, blah. Now, that's not the Congress's, it's not their job. It's not their territory. It's not their branch of government. It's not their job. But Jim Jordan, who doesn't show up for subpoenas, is demanding the district attorney in New York is going to come to Washington. So Jim Jordan got a 5-page letter from the New York DA's office saying, politely but strongly, we are not coming to Washington, nor is it in our purview. It's not required, Jim Jordan. So basically, Bragg had this letter sent, and the letter sent basically said, Dear Jim Jordan, go fish. Now, I'm making that up. He didn't, don't take that seriously. He didn't write go fish, but that's what I write when I want to kind of flick the gnat away. Go fish. So keep an eye on Trump, because he's going to make up these lies that aren't true to get everybody worked up, and that's what he did about Tuesday. He just did it because he didn't know when he's getting indicted. Now, I was wrong last week, and you know, when I'm wrong, I will say I'm wrong. So is everybody else. But I was wrong because I thought that indictment would come by the end of last week, and it did not. It doesn't upset me. I don't think there's anything wrong at all. I think they may have gotten 1 or 2 additional witnesses that they had to fit in for the grand jury. There might have been scheduling issues with the grand jury, but my left ear does not think anything's wrong. I think that Alvin Bragg is on track, and they just need to make it like almost perfect, if there's anything perfect, you know what I'm saying? Like as good as it can get. That's what they're doing. So hang tight. I know people on Twitter have said, you know, what's going on, and I'm just not feeling that there's anything suspicious or wrong. So I just want to share that with you. So I asked the runes this question: do the Trump MAGAs, they're all Trumpers, have Trump fatigue? Because that's what I'm beginning to think. Trump fatigue. I mean, how long can they adore him through all of this? So, you know, this is in relationship, you know, his first possible indictment, so we think, is probably the Stormy Daniels hush money payments in New York with Alvin Bragg. Probably before Fonnie Willis. The Trump MAGAs feel that this Stormy Daniels thing is nothing, and that it's minimal, and they don't really care. So it will come and go. And he might get indicted, and he probably will, and it may be bigger, it may be felony. I think they're bringing felony charges, or they wouldn't really be doing this. But it won't get that, you know, it won't get that that hit, that big hit, that the stolen government documents hiding at Mar-a-Lago, the Georgia election fraud and obstruction indictments with an S, not one, but multiple, and the January 6th insurrection, which Jumpin' Jack Flash is managing. And although it's not political, E. Jean Carroll's sexual assault defamation case is moving forward, and Trump is such a serious threat that that judge is making everybody who's sitting on that trial, what is it, where their names aren't released, they're secret, to protect them from injury or threats or extortion, whatever. So that was a good move on the judge's part. So all of this stuff is going on. So the answer I got to, do MAGAs have Trump fatigue? So the answer I got is, it's going to really hit them within a year. That Trump fatigue is really going to hit them within a year. Because the rune is harvest. And the Rune of Harvest always talks about 1 year. So there's more of this baloney. If he doesn't, how do I say this? If he doesn't, you know, drop over, and I haven't pulled a rune on that, I haven't wanted to. So there's more of this nonsense. I don't think a judge is going to put a gag order on him. I would love it, but I have a doubt. My wish is, after he's indicted, hopefully this week in New York, that a judge says, you have to shut up or we're going to put you in jail. That would be the best, but I don't think it's going to happen. And I didn't ask the runes, okay? I don't ask the runes everything, but I'm bringing this up, so we'll see. So we got harvest 1 year with the Trump fatigue question. Then we got possessions reversed. And the rune book says, there may be considerable frustration. You are compelled to stand by, watching helplessly as what you've gained dwindles. That's pretty literal. But the last rune is the Rune Warrior, but it's in the reversed position. So it says, through ill-timed action, life force leaks out, and association has fulfilled its span. So there might be events around this that I'm not quite picking up on yet. However, Trump fatigue, we will now be watching it sink in. People leaving the rallies early, not listening to him, and then the possessions reversed and the warrior reversed. So an association has fulfilled its span. That's positive. Now, we're coming to the end now, my friends. And sometimes when I want to ask a question, I really have to think how I want to word it. And so I played with this a little bit. And this is the question I came up with for the runes. Will Vladimir Putin survive 2023? And I hadn't asked that question in that way before. So I'm going to do this really quickly. I got the rune of movement. And it's normally a good rune, but it speaks of change. It speaks of news. And based on my question, I like getting movement here. It means movement. It doesn't mean, no, he's in a standstill position, because there's a rune for standstill. He didn't get that. We got movement, change. All right. Then we got partnership. The rune of partnership. And I'm going to tell you what immediately came to my left ear when I pulled it, is that there will be a short allyship with somebody, short war friendship, getting a little assistance, and it's going to be brief. All right? It's going to be brief, and we might all go, oh no, but it's going to be brief. And then I got breakthrough. Breakthrough. This is the shift. And breakthrough can portend like a death, or being unable to move forward. Breakthrough has all kinds of connotations, but these three together, I don't know that Putin is going to survive 2023. I'll keep an eye on this. We can ask again. I saw Admiral Cerritos, whom I really like when he speaks. He conferred that Putin is very fearful. That's why he's saber rattling, as he called it, with nuclear talk or moving his nuclear weapons. Baloney. The admiral says that Putin, this is pretty bad, he says Putin is both a failed strategist and a poor tactician. That's usually people are one or the other, but he's both. And so he was not made for this war. You know, that's our famous American general, MacArthur. Was it MacArthur? I believe he said, I was made for this war, General MacArthur. If you know different, let me know. If I made a mistake, let me know. I'm always open to hearing it. So now we're at the end of this little chat, this little connection on Monday before we have this Palooza week. Good evidence. And so in my new book, I have categories of good evidence, and this is called productive good evidence. It has to do with me. Maybe this will inspire somebody out there. I began cleaning out clothes that I no longer want in my bedroom, cleaning out jewelry, separating it, putting things in bags, getting ready for a yard sale. And I have a pretty good sized bedroom, and I emptied a corner of the bedroom that happens to be in Feng Shui, the abundance corner. But I had junk in that corner. I had some clothes, some papers. I had a couple of suitcases that I had not put away. And so I cleaned out that whole corner, vacuumed it, and now I've got this space in my abundance corner. And I'm going to make it at some point a reading nook. But as you know, anytime you overcome resistance and you get something done, it's good evidence and it feels really good. So I urge you to do something like that. If that's in the back of your mind, it feels really, really good. Because you've been productive, and being productive lights us up. Now we're at quotes, and I have 2 quotes. And I think these quotes really are about productivity. The first quote is from a man named Robert Greene, who practices and teaches and writes about Stoicism. And I actually saw him say this, so I copied it down. He's also an author. He wrote, "The habit of doing something every day is very fulfilling. And habits of work and discipline, where every day you attack something, is where the power of our brain operates maximally." So I'll say it again really fast. The habit of doing something every day is very fulfilling. And habits of work and discipline, where every day you attack something, is where the power of our brain operates maximally. Robert Greene. And he inspired me. I've been more productive since I just read that a week ago. All right. Then the other quote I found, which I love, is anonymous. I don't know who is responsible for this quote, but it says, "Don't tell me what you are doing. Tell me what you've done." And I can relate to that. I can relate to being guilty of that. But that one woke me up. Tell me what you've done. Don't tell me what you're going to do. And that's sort of like, whoa, okay, hello, that woke me up. And maybe it'll wake you up. All right, so there we go. It's Monday. You may see me middle of the week. I'm going to do another Patreon. I've got more material on what is good evidence. And I'll see you soon. Make peace, make memories, stay involved, hold the highest thought, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.